Hi there, Carrie here. Okay, since this is for theory students mostly, probably a lot of you guys don't know me. People in the 180s and above, they mostly all know me. I'm the lady that does the hypnosis, but I'm not here to do hypnosis with you, and I'll explain that why in a little bit. But I sat down today and I wrote a thing out for me about theory students because it's so easy for me to jump in and help somebody who's in their 180s or 200s to get that last big push to get out. But there are so many things that I think if I'd heard um, in theory, it would have made things easier. So, jokes aside, um, several things. First of all, I want you guys, whatever stage you're at, you may have figured this out already. And if you have, bravo. The schools don't tell you that there are a finite number of tests that you will pass, and then you'll be done with school. There are a seemingly infinite number of tests that you will not pass. And therein lies the problem. Because think about it. I mean, I remember when I was in school, I used to get so angry because a lot of my friends were going to, Berkeley and UC, Davis and San Francisco and the big colleges. And here I am in court reporting school. And I'm killing myself trying to get a 95%. And my friends are like slacking through, partying all weekend, getting C's. They're not, I don't even know if they're learning anything, but at the end of 4 years, they get a degree and oh, look at that. They're college graduates. And I'm struggling because every time I drop below 95, I gotta fail. And I gotta mentally, I didn't realize what it was doing to me. It was eating me alive. There were moments when I could literally hear my brain saying, God, Carrie, you should just quit. Because you're just really good at failing. That's what you do mostly. And now, having been a board certified clinical hypnotherapist for like 8 years now, and just still diving in and digesting every bit of neuroscience I can get my paws on, I realize that part of you that chatters, that part of you that holds you back, that part of you that brings all the fear and the doubt to the surface, that part doesn't understand the whole big picture of why you started school. It also thinks that it's a great predictor of the future, although all it has is the past to base its predictions on. So, of course, for it, yeah, take a test tomorrow, you're going to fail. It's what you usually do. Yeah, it is. It will always be what you usually do. Really. I mean, if you've got, every school is different. But I mean, in my school, we had to do 3 tests at each speed, and we started at 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. If you guys are writing with me, I love it. Keep up. Um, three, 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 and three. What, 21 tests? And you're done. And you're done. And then you can take a state test if you want to, depending on your geographic location, what's required at the end of that for you to be able to go out and work. Because in a lot of states, there are no certifications. In some states, they want you to be graduated from an accredited school. In some states, they just want you to be out of a school. And then there are a lot of states that accept national certifications like the Registered Professional Reporter, the RPR. And then there are some cranky states like California and Texas who they've got their own CSR and they want it done their way. And those are enough to make you have a mental breakdown if you don't know how to approach them. That's what I'm here for. I'm certified in 6 states. It wasn't easy getting that. I mean, I've been in California. That was my primary territory, still is, probably always will be. But when the world of remote came along, I found myself in remote depositions where a Texas resident would show up. And I'd ask them, because in California, the rest of you ignore this, but in California, The location of the deposition is the location of the witness. And I would show up and there'd be somebody from Dallas or somebody from Midland, Texas. And I'd think, oh my God, I'm not, and Texas is kind of vicious. I'm not certified in Texas. If I take this job, I'm literally reporting a Texas domiciled witness, and I'm not certified to do that. So I went ahead and got my Texas license. Not an easy thing, but it helped me be able to help other people to pass those tests because I know them from the inside out. Back to theory. Aside from accepting the fact that you are going to fail, I hate that word, you're going to fail more tests than you ever pass. And that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And the people on the outside of you, your family, your friends, well-meaning people probably, they don't have a clue what you're going through. They don't have, and you'll hear it all the time. Have you passed yet? Are you out yet? Did you pass that test? And it's like, no, I failed. No, I failed. No, I failed. No, I failed. You know, you start, you do. You sound like an absolute loser because all you do is fail. They don't understand. So just kind of smile at them and just say, it's getting better every day. It's getting better every, when are you going to be out? Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I'm getting better every day. Getting out of school faster than anybody can imagine. That is a magic statement that I want you to write down. That comes from Molly Cooper. Amazing. Molly Cooper, LA reporter, who said, I'm getting out of school faster than anybody can imagine. I'm amazing. I'm phenomenal. I'm just every single day, 4 times a day, she would tell herself that. And now I understand the neuroscience behind it, that your brain gives you what you focus on. It gives you more of what it hears all the time, and it gives you what it believes you think you deserve. I'm getting out of school faster than anybody can imagine. And then I took it to another one of my hypnosis teachers and said, why is this working for Molly Cooper? Molly the Miracle Cooper, who got out of school, qualified for the California state test, took the state test and passed it first time. And that journey for her was 1 year, 1 month, and 13 days. Steno writing. I'm getting out of school faster than anybody can imagine. And my teacher told me, well, there's nothing. That's better than any affirmation you could come up with, because there's nothing in that statement that your brain can fight, that it can disagree with. You know, if I was to say, I'm going to pick the winning lotto numbers the 7th day of next month, your brain would say, you know, there's like a lot of reasons why I know that's not going to work. That can't be possible. And it will not give you something it does not think is possible, that you don't think is possible. He said, he said, who made that up? That's kind of magic. And I thought, my student, the student reporter, well, new reporter out in the field now, but getting out of school faster than anyone can imagine. And all your subconscious can say is, well, damn, that sounds pretty fast. I guess we better get cooking. And it will find ways to get you what you say you expect. Think about it. In life, most of what you expect to happen in any circumstance is usually kind of what happens. And I think it was Henry Ford a billion years ago who said, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. There's power in words. The words reflect what we believe to be true about us. What I work with those high-speed students trying to get out of school is the fact that a lot of them have a lot of old baggage from the past and a lot of doubts and imposter syndrome, a lot of doubts about what's possible for them compared to other students. Which brings me to a topic I actually didn't put on this list, but don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself and your progress or lack of progress to anybody else. The only person you should be in competition with is you. Am I better at this today than I was yesterday? And that means I know I'm going to be better at this stuff tomorrow than I am today. That's the only thing you should be doing is trying to level up who you are and what you're capable of. It doesn't matter about everybody else. I found that out the hard way. School was not an easy journey for me. It was a really long journey for me. Um, and I remember looking at other people and thinking, well, I must not be very bright. I must not be very smart because look at everybody else who's not practicing as much as I am, and they're just busting out of school. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know, but it was hard for me. And then once I got out of school, I'd look around. It's a small industry, but still geographically, you run into people like, hey, where's Pam? Oh, she quit. She got certified 2 years before I did, and then she quit. Why? I don't know. She was just, it wasn't what she wanted. It wasn't what she thought it was. It's a lot of work. You make great money, but it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not. It's one of those things that grabs you by the heart and says, this is what I was meant to be. It's not a job. It's not even a profession. It's a calling. It's something that you just know in the depth of your soul that you were meant to do. And you can't drop out and quit along the way because you have doubts that go against that, because not everybody gets a calling. Not everybody finds a thing that they were meant to do for the rest of their life. This year, in last July, was my 46th year of reporting, and that kind of blows my mind. Who would have thought? The probably one of the worst students in 3 different schools. Um, I wasn't really the worst student in San Francisco Academy of Stenographic Arts, and I really wasn't a bad student at the Oakland College of Court Reporting, which is the last school I went to. But at Argonaut Court Reporting in Sacramento, I had to have been the worst student they had ever had. I came from a school where the theory was terrible. There was no theory. It was there's alphabet on the left. There's consonants. There's consonants on the right. There's vowels in the middle. They didn't even teach us long vowels. Right from left to right, phonetically get something for everything and just get faster. That was my theory. I was out of theory in 5 weeks. When I tell people that, they think, oh, you must have been amazing. No, there was not a whole lot to learn. There were sounds, learning to hear sounds, because everything was phonetic. There was no briefs. In that school, I remember there was people who were collecting money and people who were paying money to get a brief and phrase list. It was a black market list. And people wanted to know what those things were because you weren't allowed in that school, San Francisco Academy of Stenographic Arts. And I do say that with such disdain. But you weren't allowed to use briefs or phrases until you got into 160. Their thinking was, if you can write everything out fast enough to get to 160, then when we give you all the briefs and the phrases, you're just going to fly out of school. I don't know if that happened because I started school in June. I was in 120 by October, and then I had to change schools. That's a whole nother video. Purely an economic necessity. But then I went to the Argonaut School of Court Reporting and in Sacramento, and they had a whole different theory about everything, about how to practice. I came from San Francisco was really like anal retentive. You do it this way, you do it that way. You have to do it with no. They literally looked at our notes. If we had used a brief or a phrase in our notes on a test that we passed, they would throw it out. That test didn't count until you got to 160. And then you were expected to start using all the briefs and all the phrases that you had never seen before. What insanity. So what I want to share with you guys is just knowing like what's reasonable, what's not, how to get your thinking cleared from the beginning. And I want you to write down on a piece of paper somewhere that you keep close to you. Why? WHY. why you wanted to do this. What was it that lit up inside of you that said, oh, I want to be a court reporter. Oh, I want to do that. I mean, it could be, I want to make a lot of money. It could be, I want to work in court. I want to see everything from a front row seat every time. I want to be able to have financial independence, to be able to supply my family with a lifestyle that maybe you didn't have. Whatever your why is, write it down. And in those bumps along the way, every time you even think about starting to ponder if you might want to wonder about quitting, you pull out that why and remember it. Even if you've got to sit there and think back about I mean, Mark Kissenberry talks about it, about the first time he ever saw that little olive green steno machine, and he said he fell in love. That was his why. That was his moment of spark of knowing that that was his calling, that this was what he was meant to do and meant to be. Yeah, so that why will get you through the bumps. It'll get you through the doubts, and that thing will take you to your end goal of getting out of school, or whatever your end goal is. So, a couple of things I want to talk to you about. First of all, I want you to understand that when you're learning theory, just like you're learning anything, you are learning with your conscious mind. I talk a lot about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. There are people who talk about the unconscious mind and the superconscious mind. I don't care about all that. There's the thing that chatters in your head that criticizes everything you do. And then there's the part of you that just knows. And get this, as you're practicing, I'm talking to the steno people now, but as you're practicing every single stroke that you ever write, it's downloaded into your subconscious and it's locked in there forever. How do I know that? Because after 40 some years of reporting, when COVID hit, there were no jobs for like 8 weeks. I didn't touch my machine at all. I thought, well, I don't know, I guess I'm going to retire. I have no idea. I don't know. Hope I don't die, but maybe I'm going to retire. Maybe I'm not going to be a court reporter anymore. I don't know what I'll do. Try not to stress about that. And then the phone rang and somebody had a Zoom deposition and they didn't know what that was. But I'd been studying neuroscience and hypnosis on Zoom. And so I knew Zoom. I was familiar with that. I started teaching classes to other reporters and agencies about how to navigate all that stuff. It was kind of cool. But 8 weeks off the machine and I've got a job tomorrow. So I stressed for a few minutes, like, oh my God, I should take my machine out and charge it. Yeah, that's probably good. Do I practice or do I not practice? Do I practice and then the muscles that I haven't been using are going to be sore tomorrow? Or do I just show up and say, you know what? It's a brave new world. Let's just go for it. And that's what I did. And yeah, it was rough. I mean, I was like swearing in the witness. I just sit there for a minute, like, do you solemnly swear again? How does that admonition go again? Got past that. And it felt, every job feels different, just like every test feels different. But this took me a while to feel like I got in sync with the writing again. And then there came a moment when I don't remember the word, it might have been something like indistinguishable. Indistinguishably. I don't know. It was a crazy multi-syllable word. And for a moment, my brain started to say, there's a brief for that, except I don't know what it was. No idea, because I learned to write everything out and added briefs along the way. I just remember saying very quiet in my quiet indoor brain voice, shh, no, hush, no chattering, and let my subconscious, and it was weird. It felt like something dove deep inside me and came back up and just started writing. And it wrote out and it translated. So somewhere in my long life of reporting or in school somewhere, that was the very first way I ever wrote that word. And it was there, it was locked in, and it came out beautifully because I let it come out. I could have fought it, I could have freaked out, I could have stopped and hesitated and tried to remember what the brief was, even though there probably wasn't one. Or there were 100 different ways that I wrote indistinguishable, probably, if you look at the rest of how I write things even today. But that stuff is locked inside you from practicing. And that's why we want to practice all the time. We want to practice the steno that we're learning, but then we want to start practicing different combinations of different sounds, different combinations of different words, different sequences of different words. As I learned doing patent cases, when they start using simple words, but in a sequence that isn't normal, and your brain will lock up on that stuff unless you're practiced at just writing whatever you're hearing, period. That's where the speed building comes from. But for you guys, for theory, I want you to understand that you're learning theory with your conscious mind. It's the part of you that analyzes. It's very creative. It'll help you learn those things. It helps you connect up things so that you can remember them faster. But in theory, basically, you're just, I don't know, I don't want to say regurgitating the information because that sounds so menial, but you're just, you're learning the basics. You're learning your theory. And I'm going to tell you something that whatever school you're in will not tell you, and that is there is no bad theory. You take your theory and you get good at it. And if you're like me, I have changed my writing every moment along the way. If something occurred to me, if I heard somebody else talking about something and I thought, that makes sense, I could do that. I could remember that without any effort. Boom, that stroke, that brief, that was mine. From now on, I owned it as if I had made it up myself. That was meant for people who make up theories and then tell everybody that, write fast, write short, and you're right to the moon and back. Maybe. I mean, I love Mark Kissinger. I really do. And I admire his putting together this theory. But my theory, which was 5 weeks of everything phonetically, and then as computers came along, I had to change again and learn how do I write everything differently so that this poor little computer can understand what I want it to translate as. Oh my God, now I've got to write there, and there differently. I've got to write your and your differently. I've got to write how many words are there that I could have a conflict with? And I learned to write them all separately. And although our software nowadays is amazing at figuring out which version of the word we need to use in that sentence, I don't ever pay any attention to that because my writing is solid. How I write things is solid. And then there are words like indistinguishable, where I may write it several different ways, but it's going to come out because every variation of it is in my dictionary. If this doesn't apply to your theory, don't worry about it. There is no wrong theory. There will be your theory. And even if two of you are in the exact same class learning the exact same theory, you will never be two people writing identically. It just won't happen. You will learn things along the way. You will change things along the way. You will learn things wrong that work for you along the way. I love telling this story because when I was in San Francisco school, and I happened to be in the restroom one day, and the other students were talking not only about the long vowels, which I tried to bring in to my writing because I thought, oh my God, they're on to something. They got long vowels they're using. I better learn that now before it becomes an overwhelming chore to learn later. And I did. But I remember hearing somebody say, well, this is how I write. Intersection, and it was like one stroke, and I thought, oh, I've died and gone to heaven. You can write because I'm seriously writing intersection is how I was taught to write intersection. So, but I misheard what they were saying. Now the beauty was that what I learned as how to write it could never have been anything else except maybe a bad misstroke if I was going fast. But that's how I write intersection to this day. Now, I didn't hear the part of their class that talked about the INTER prefix part of the word and how you could build on that, or the DIS part of the words and how you could build on that. Didn't learn that stuff. Some of it I've incorporated, some of it I haven't. My thinking is if I can write comfortably at 280 words a minute and peak at 300 and come back down, if somebody will just please breathe, then my theory works for me. And I remember 5 or 6 years ago thinking, do I want to stop and relearn my theory that after 40 years is really comfortable for me and it works for me and it makes me a lot of money. And I don't hesitate because it's mine. I've made it mine. So I want you to understand just that difference right now between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, because once you get into speed building, and you start going into 100 and 120, you have less and less and less time for your conscious mind to evaluate how you're writing, for it to tell you, oh, that's not right. Oh, there's a brief for that. Wait a minute, there's a shorter way to write that. Chatter, 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 chatter. If you want to speed build, you got to understand that that baby's going to have to be left in the dirt, because I remember being in that moment where I realized, wow, when I was writing 100, this stuff was really hard and it was really fast. And then I'm writing at 200 and that's really hard and it's really fast. But 100 was a piece of cake everywhere along the line. As my speed was increasing, my accuracy at lower speeds was increasing also. And my best writing, I watched it today. When somebody hit a spurt of 250 to 300 and they just kept going for a while and I was hanging on for dear life and looking at my translation and it was like, son of a gun, damn, it's coming out, because I'm writing so fast. Automatically, I'm letting it happen and I don't have time for my brain to even try to chatter. We're going too fast. I love that. But anywhere below that, it's got more and more time to start chattering. So for some of you who have been stuck, hate that word, at 80 or 100 or 120 for a long time, just realize you've got to practice hearing faster. And that can be listening to books on tape. Yeah, like on Audible or YouTube, but listening to a book and cranking up that speed so fast that you can barely understand the words. And then it literally trains your hearing to hear faster. You can only write as fast as you can hear and recognize what you're hearing. And the faster you can hear, the more reaction time you've got between here and here. Practice hearing faster. It'll make you a better reporter. Have a routine. Your brain loves routines. But I don't want you to get stuck doing something that's not getting you results. But have a routine. For me, this is weird because people say, well, what is your routine? What do you practice? Well, I work every single day. So sometimes I don't practice. Sometimes my practice is building a job dictionary for my real-time job tomorrow. It's thinking, it's mentally, how am I going to write that? Will it conflict with anything else? How would I write this, that, the other thing ahead of time? But my routine, and I suggest this to you, when you breathe, and for those of you who think you've got anxiety, and I'm not saying you don't, but don't you dare call it your anxiety. You don't get to close the market on that. You are just experiencing a physical sensation that feels like whatever it feels like for you. But if you call it your anxiety, you are claiming it and owning it, and you will have a hell of a time getting past it, around it, and through it, and beyond it. So don't do that. It's okay to say, wow, I took that job and I panicked. I took that job and I had this this rush of like hot flash through my body. I started shaking. I started sweating. The room was spinning. I have heard all of it. And I actually had the room spin one time for me. So I know what that's like when you feel like you're going to go right off into the floor. That's the stuff I've been able to get past by learning neuroscience and hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And it's what I want to do to help students not have to deal with that crap, because life is hard enough without that. Steno is hard enough without that. School is hard enough. You don't want to go out into the field still having those problems, those things that are going to slow you down and pull you back and make you doubt what you're capable of. So ring me up, let me know. We can fix all of that. If you're talking to somebody who, for I don't even know how old I was born in 56. So let's go from there. Somewhere around in the 60s, I got crap downloaded on me when I was a little kid and programs that lit me up with anxiety that I was terrified. Because if I made a decision about anything, I was sure I'm going to be wrong. And then when I'm wrong, I get in trouble. And not, there's trouble and then there's trouble. So terrified, afraid, and ashamed, and didn't understand any of that. I just felt like there's this part of me that's like the bad guy, and I got to fight it all the time. And I didn't understand that we can't fight that part. It's a part of us. But let's get to know it. Let's get it on board as part of a good team player and get some better results. But I woke up every single morning my entire life. Well, the only mornings that this didn't happen was when I didn't go to bed. But I'd wake up every single morning with this hot flash in my chest, at what age of 20, 30, 40? Yeah. I'll tell you, it was so bad that when hot flashes started hitting, real ones started hitting me, it was like, what are you talking about? This thing, this anxiety, this panic, this foreboding, horrible physical reaction that hit me would consume my body. I couldn't breathe. This is like every single morning, whether I was laying in bed with my eyes open or closed or trying to talk myself out of it, didn't matter. Every single morning, I got to a point where I started calling it the dragon, because it felt like this big, heavy, nasty, hot, leathery thing just pushing down on my chest. And I thought I was going to die. And it was all I could do to get up out of bed and make my feet move to start the day, to try to talk myself into convincing myself that I gave up on being happy. I just wanted to be like not terribly sad or depressed or anxious. That was my goal. So when I talk to you guys about we can fix this, we can get you past it and over it and through it, I promise you. But it's not going to be overnight. It didn't happen to you overnight. And there was a guy that I worked with for a while, hypnotherapy wise, learning from him. And I said, look, I'm working with students, court reporting students, and I want to know, how do I help them with test anxiety? And he said, oh, well, first of all, Carrie, there is no such thing as test anxiety. And I went to bat for all of us. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, because I felt it. I've been there. They're going through it. It's holding them back from passing tests. What do you mean there's no test anxiety? You just don't know who we are. And he said, well, what they're dealing with is just, don't diminish it, just anxiety. And I thought, this isn't just anxiety. This is a new breed of anxiety. But continue on. Explain to me how this isn't anything more than just anxiety. And he said, you're acting as if starting school to become a court reporter, doing this steno thing, is what all of a sudden created this anxiety that they feel. And he said, I would bet anything, everything, because I know that the thing that's triggering them to feel the feelings that they're feeling is something from way back in their childhood, from somewhere about between the ages of 2 and 7, because that's when the programs get laid down. I didn't know that. From the ages of 2 to 7, you only have access to delta brain waves when you're sleeping, low, slow waves. And then there's theta waves, which are a little bit faster. But from the ages of 2 to 7, you're in alpha waves. And I thought, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I took the other class. Alpha waves is hypnosis. Give that girl a gold star. Because yes, it is. From the ages of 2 to 7, we're literally absorbing. Our subconscious is totally open. We have no conscious mind. It doesn't exist yet, which is the number one reason I can tell you that chatter in your head is not you. You weren't born with it, and it didn't even come along till you bumped up into beta waves when you were probably 8, 9, 10, 12, somewhere around in there. So 2 to 7, you heard everything around you. You decided what it meant. Who kept you safe, where you weren't safe, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. How do you get along in this society that you were born into, which may have been your family, extended family, school, doesn't matter. Your brain is learning as fast as it can on autopilot without a filter. It doesn't sit there and say, yeah, that person called you stupid every day of your life getting on the bus, but that doesn't mean you're stupid just because they said it. But your brain learns by repetition. And every day, every day, every day, every day, you're hearing a bad message over and over again. You're internalizing it. It becomes part of it's not part of who you are, but it's part of how you operate during the day. It's what stops us when we get to a certain speed and we say, I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like there's something that's sabotaging. It's like I'm self-sabotaging. I want this so bad, and yet I'm not getting the results I deserve. It's that. We got to go back and kind of re-educate that part of your brain to understand that, just because the bus driver called you stupid, let's kind of look at this. Poor bus driver. I wonder what the hell they were going through or what their childhood was like that made them have to feel better about themselves by talking to a little kid like that. You're not stupid. Let's talk about how incredibly not stupid you are. And we retrain that part of your brain to process and get a new program to help you get the results that, frankly, you just deserve. So when I'm starting off my jobs every day, I start with breathing deeply. Doesn't that sound boring as hell? And I used to hate people. They were like, you should just breathe slowly and it will help your anxiety. And I'm like, oh God, how do I breathe? I thought I was breathing. I'm alive. How do I breathe? Well, there's 4 square breathing. What the hell is that? Besides, I guess I could remember it easy, but what is that? Well, that's taking an inhale in for 4 counts, and then holding it for 4 counts, then exhaling for 4 counts, and then waiting for another 4 counts. And it makes you have to slow down. I also had somebody who said you should do 8, 4, 7, 4, I don't know, and elemental P to the moon. I have no idea. Finally, somebody came along and explained the vagal nervous system to me and said, all you really need to do is breathe at your pace. Oh, imagine that. I don't have to remember how to breathe. I can just breathe at my pace. The inhale comes in, however long that takes. When you exhale, you make that take just a little bit longer. So if you got 4 beats going in, 6 beats as you exhale. It's that exhale that's got the magic attached to it that calms down your system. Now, not only does it do that, but it will trick your brain into thinking that you're safe. Oh, back to the guy that doesn't think there's test anxiety. He said, your brain is on fire because it's sure that you're going into a situation which is going to be bad. I said, it's just a test. He says, yeah, it's just a test. But what happens? You're telling me that there's 90% dropout rate. and that most of the tests you ever take are fails. So, of course, that part of your brain is going to say, oh God, don't go into another test. Do anything besides take another test because I saw what you did last time and you're probably going to fail again and it's going to be bad because that part doesn't know the why that you're putting yourself through all this for. And it's trying to keep you away from what it thinks is a problem, a danger. And it thinks everything's a problem and everything's a danger, by the way. But if every time you start to take, and then it builds on itself. So before you just thinking about a test can put you into a panicked anxiety frenzy, just thinking about it. And I love that because somebody else that I worked, another teacher that I worked with said, you know, we want to get over this anxiety thing as if it, and because we feel as if it's something that's overtaking our body. It's something outside of us that we don't have any control over and we have no defense against it. He said, but every single one of you know how to make your body feel anxiety. Every single one of you does. Stop breathing at real slow breathing right now. Stop that. Breathe real shallow and high up in the top of your chest, up in the top of your throat, right way up there. You know how we suck the air in and then we write like a maniac and then, oh God. And they tell us, don't hold your breath while you're testing. Oh, like I got one more thing I need to worry about. Don't worry about that. Breathe during the test, however the hell you want to breathe. Just get through the test. That's not the problem. But breathing real high, real shallow will trick your brain into thinking, oh my God, something bad must be happening because look how we're breathing. We got to get ready to fight or flee or my favorite, freeze. And then you wonder, what the hell is, why are my hands moving? What the hell? There's words that are being said and I'm not moving. What's wrong with me? You're having a reaction. You're having a triggered reaction from something from the past to try to keep you from doing this. Even you're in the middle of the test, you're going to do the test. That part of your brain doesn't know that. It's still trying to keep you, make you stop. And then I love, this is the best part when you're in the middle of a test and then your brain said, oh, look at you. Look, you've already failed. You might as well just quit. And the minute you buy into that, your writing starts becoming brilliant. Why? Because it was never about your writing. It was about what was going on in your head. So that's why I'm here. Have a routine. Start off with breathing slow, deliberately at your pace. You're as if you're saying, okay, body, I'm in control. And this is me talking. I've practiced. I know this stuff. I know my theory. Whatever's coming ahead of me, I got it. I'm going to be okay. And I'm not going to die. No matter what happens, I'm safe. And thank you for trying to remind me that I might be going into the pit of hell. And it's going to feel that way in the middle, probably. But I'm not. And I'm not going to die. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Those are really magic words. You know, well, what if you fail? Answer it back. Well, what if I don't? What if you embarrass yourself, humiliate yourself? What if I don't? You know, you're going to have to tell your friends and family you failed another test. No, I don't. No, I don't. I get to tell them whatever I want to tell them. And I get to have that story be my story. And part of that story is they will never understand what you're doing. In fact, I have a relative to this day. He was always a naysayer. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know how you can make that much money. You don't work that hard. As if now I'm doing something illegal. It's like, oh, honey, there are reporters making twice as much as I make. Just don't even go there. Don't worry about it. Um, I'm going to look at my thing here real quick. Oh, on the test panicky stuff that you may feel from time to time, I'm going to give you a little exercise that, oh my gosh, I just got a great text message. I'm going to give you an exercise. I want you to grab your phone or something that's kind of weighty that you can hold in your hand like that. There is the what the heck is it called? The, somebody out there will know. Put it in the chat. Put it in the post. There's a connecting tissue between your left brain and your right brain. And it's the thing that has all the nerve endings that lets the signals go back and forth between left brain and right brain. Now, here's the cool part, that when you're feeling what you're feeling, it's only happening on one side of your brain. And it doesn't matter which side it is, because we're going to fix it. I want you to, next time you feel anxious, it doesn't even have to be court reporting. It could be anything. It could be, oh my God, I forgot to do my auto payment. Oh my God, I bounced a check. I don't care. We'll fix that later. But in the moment that you're feeling that nasty feeling that everybody can make themselves feel, so if nothing bad has happened, let yourself make yourself feel anxious. All you got to do is imagine you got way too much to do and not enough time to do it in. And everybody's watching you and every move you make. And there are people who their opinion of you matters. You're now in full-blown anxiety. So take out your phone. Yeah, now you're going to want to feel like, first thing I want to do is hit the people who are making me feel bad. We're not going to do that. We're going to fix you. Take your phone, and what you're going to do is from that midline right there, we're going to pass this object back and forth, left to right, left to right. Some of you are going to recognize this as EMDR, and that's okay. There's all kinds of names for it. This is called bilateral stimulation. It's going to stimulate both sides of your brain back and forth so fast that the part that the anxiety reaction is stuck in will let go. And I'm going to lose my phone on the screen, but you can go as far out either direction as you want, just as long as you pass it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. Why do you think they do all that cadence stuff when people are marching in bands? To the left, to the left, to the right, to the left. Do it as long as it takes. It shouldn't take more than 20, 40, 60 seconds. The other thing that nobody ever tells you is that when you have a bad feeling overtake your body, this was a hard one for me to understand. My poor teachers. Those feelings are biochemical in nature. It's your body releasing chemicals into your system to get your attention. That flush of chemicals, that feeling will only last 60 to 90 seconds. And then it will dissipate and be gone. To which I said, that is bullshit. Because I've had this feeling, and it goes on sometimes for minutes, for hours. When I really get in a bad funk, bad depression, bad stuff's happening, it can go on for days. You know, what do you mean 60 to 90 seconds? Here's the kicker. If you have one rush of feelings and you don't just submit to it and allow it to process through your body and go out, if you can do that, that feeling will be gone. And that particular one will never come back again. To which I said, yeah, but there's like 10,000 more just like it. You'll get better at it. You'll get better at just letting that stuff pass through your body without resistance. What we're doing is we feel the bad feeling, we tense up, we hang on to it, we fight like hell, and we're not going to let it win. And then it drops down with the other 10,000 and says, oh, okay, I'll get you again next time. It's what I'm going to do. So allowing that stuff, that's part of, oh, I hated it when people would say, oh, I'm just going to process. I had a great session. Now I'm going to process it. And I think, what the fuck? You've got, excuse my French, you've got a processor? You know, what are you processing? I court reporting student, I don't have time for processing. I'm up to the next word at 225 words a minute. What do you mean? Take time and breathe and process. But to get rid of the anxiety, you have to dedicate time in the day, every day, repeatedly until it lets go. And then there will come a day where you'll go, oh, there's that feeling. It's gone. Oh, there's that feeling. It's gone. And then, if you're really lucky and you've done a whole hell of a lot of work, and I did, You'll wake up one morning and you'll go, oh my God, I don't feel that feeling anymore. Actually, I don't think I felt it yesterday or last week. When was the last time I had one of those where it felt like the dragon was sitting on me, laying on my stomach, breathing hot, fiery nastiness? I don't remember. 6 months? Because I had been practicing to release. I've been practicing to get rid of that stuff. For some of you, you're going to be, okay, yeah, Carrie, just tell me how to be a theory student and get out of school. I'm going to go down my list really quick because some of this stuff is practical. Some of it is metaphysical. Some of it is neuroscientific. And you can say it's not your problem, but hit me up again when you're in 180s. One thing that somebody told me about, and I tried it for a while, especially if you're in theory, if you have trouble hesitating, like I can't stay, why can't they're dictating us words, this many words per minute, and think about it, if it's one word a second, that's 60 words a minute, right? Okay, so set a metronome, and now they have metronomes on your phone. Set a metronome for how many clicks per minute you want, and then make yourself hit those keys on the beat, on the beat, on the beat. Here's something that somebody told me that blew my mind. If you're doing 60 words per minute, and age is just a number, and speed is just a number. 60 words a minute. Double it. That's 120 words a minute. All we did was double it. Double it again. You're at 240 words a minute. And you're getting paid. I can't tell you guys how much faith and hope and belief I hold in my hands for you. It's everything I wish I'd had when I was in school. Oh my God, I could have been making money 24 months before I finally did. And my whole life changed. In 6 months, I could finally buy a car that wasn't going to break on me. And I bought a house. Yeah, the interest rates were 13.5% back in the late 70s, 80s. It was terrible. But I bought a house. I was independent and single and paying my own bills and not answering to anybody. And I was so proud of what I was doing and what I had become and how hard I had worked to become that court reporter. But nobody understood what I was doing or what was taking me so long or how I could not quit. Actually, I quit several times. I dropped out of school and came back. I never stopped writing on my machine, but several times I quit and worked and saved money and then went back and did it again and again. Don't let anybody tell you you're too old for this. Don't let anybody tell you that if you drop out of school, you'll never come back. Don't let anybody tell you anything about you because they're not you. You are you, and this is your life. They got to make their decisions and their choices and live their life. This is your life. And what if there's no way to make a mistake? What if there's no way to make a bad decision? What if any decision you possibly made is going to take you to exactly where you need to be? Don't second guess what they think you should do. This isn't their life, it's yours. It's yours. And don't answer stupid questions to ignorant people. What's taking you so long? I guess greatness takes a while sometimes. I love you guys. If anybody needs any kind of extra help, reach out. Send me a text message. I guess you don't have my number. Send me an email. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger. However you found this recording, you'll find me. People know me. Somebody, oh my God, it was 2017. 2016. Somebody at the California test, somebody screamed from across the hallway, "It's St. Carrie!" And I thought, oh my God, I can't know. There's no way we're going to do that. And then somebody else said, "No, that's the Carrie godmother. Don't you understand?" I thought, okay, that's pretty cute. I might be able to keep that one. One of my emails is thecarriegodmother@gmail.com. You're welcome to reach out. Love you guys. Get the hell out of theory. Get the hell out of school. Become my colleague. Can't wait for that day.